The Department of Defense calling this a provocative move that was designed to interfere with our counter-narco-terror operations, that statement reads. So we, of course, have heard from the President and the Secretary of State.
Busy day here at the Pentagon, another busy day here at the Pentagon, Chanel. So this, what we're seeing, as Willie pointed out, this is an escalation, and we got that first. We broke that story last night. Then we got the confirmation from the DoD.
A higher level of tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela with this lethal strike that took place earlier in the week, but the U.S. seemingly indicating that they will go after more alleged drug cartel members.
At 4:12 a.m., the calm sea erupted. Dozens of Venezuelan fast boats surged toward a U.S. destroyer, missiles streaking low across the water. One strike rattled the ship's hull, but the vessel held firm. Why did Caracas gamble with such a reckless attack, and what stopped a disaster from unfolding? This wasn't just another skirmish, it was a deliberate attempt to cripple shipping lanes and challenge U.S. dominance. Stay with this story to see how advanced radar, electronic warfare, and sheer discipline turned the tide. What happened next shocked everyone on the water. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Why would a smaller naval force even attempt to test a superpower? The answer lies in perception rather than parity. Caracas did not think it could destroy the fleet, it thought it could sting it, drag it into hesitation, and then claim victory in the political theater. For leaders under pressure, a gamble like this seemed worth the risk. But in war, intent and execution are never the same. The preparations had been visible. Old craft were refitted, their paint not yet dry. Rusting submarines had been brought back online in limited condition, enough to project strength to an untrained eye. Missile batteries dotted the coastline, not hidden but displayed, as if to remind passing traffic that the waterway was under watch. This wasn't about hiding capability, it was about signaling aggression. The vital oil shipping lanes sat just offshore, and choking them would cause global shockwaves. Caracas understood the value of that leverage. The force they pushed forward looked fierce on paper. Dozens of small, fast boats with light arms. Missile boats with tubes loaded and hatches open. Squadrons of Su-30 fighters scrambled overhead to add cover. Every piece of equipment was placed with one thought in mind: speed. If they could overwhelm a single destroyer before reinforcements responded, the message to the world would be simple: Washington could bleed. For Venezuelan commanders, audacity mattered more than raw technology.
The Pentagon loves the word operation, but they haven't really named what this is, what this mission is. We don't know the details about that strike, that lethal strike on that boat carrying drugs and drug smugglers. More questions will be raised about exactly what this is.
And Charlie, speaking of the president, President Trump, we know now seeking to rename the Department of Defense as the Department of War. Why?
Conflict. Is it an anti-drug or anti-narco-terrorist operation? Is it a sort of undeclared declaration of war against Venezuela? Or is there an idea of regime change?
At the first live strike, the hull of USS Mason shuddered. The sound carried through every bulkhead, shaking metal and nerves alike. This was the test point. Would the United States panic when hit without warning? Instead, the opposite happened. Crews dropped into their rehearsed positions, damage control raced to secure compartments, and gunners brought automatic cannons onto target arcs. Training replaced fear. The chaos of battle never found footing inside that warship. Venezuela's doctrine was primitive but bold: hit fast, hit everywhere, and don't let the opponent reset. It was the naval version of a human wave, many cheap units rushing one expensive target. The idea was not long-term attrition but instant shock. Boats closed in with mounted ladders, crews with RPGs ready, riding low to avoid radar sweeps. To the eye, it created a nightmare image of swarming insects crawling toward a single prey. Yet layered defenses proved the difference. Automatic cannons spat fire across the waterline, shredding incoming craft. Air defense interceptors lit up the sky and detonated missiles before they reached arcing descent. Every swarm was met by a net that had been built not just for survival but for dominance. The bigger bet wasn't military hardware, it was psychology. Caracas assumed hesitation in Washington's sailors would equal paralysis. If crews doubted their authority to fire, the Venezuelan swarm could board or at least strike a crippling wound. But predictability is not weakness. Within the destroyer's control center, orders were carried out with calm repetition, every station following sequence as though it were another drill. This readiness turned the enemy's gamble into a liability. Meanwhile, Venezuelan coordination began to unravel. Their boats relied on radio calls to weave together formations. Once electronic jamming began, those signals warped into noise. Commands came late, or not at all. Fighters above searched for targets but lacked clarity, their sensors clouded by countermeasure bursts. In the haze, each squadron moved as if alone. What had started as a united rush fractured into isolated fragments, each piece meeting fire with no support. The momentum collapsed quickly. Swarms bled numbers before reaching firing range. Missile launches went blind once trackers scrambled. With no clear line of command, chaos replaced audacity. And chaos is poison to a plan built on speed. Without sustained communication, there was no second wave, no reinforcement, no control. This was the miscalculation. Caracas thought rapid aggression could paralyze discipline, but discipline does not break as easily as steel. The true rules of the sea are written by integration, radar with gunners, commanders with sailors, communications with firepower. The Venezuelan gamble exposed itself as theater, not strategy. If Caracas believed raw audacity alone could cripple a superpower's naval arm, they were about to learn that in modern combat, precision in systems win every time. What came next would prove that technology and coordination decide the sea, not reckless speed. The clash exposed a simple truth. Speed alone can scratch steel, but only integrated power holds the line. It wasn't missiles or swarming boats that decided the outcome, it was radar working with guns, electronic jamming cutting orders, and crews drilled until reaction was instinct. So the question remains, does Venezuela dare roll those dice again, or was this the final warning shot that ended the gamble? What would you do if command was yours? Comment your choice below. And subscribe to join a community that studies not rumor, but the real mechanics of modern conflict at sea.